Welcome to another conversation with the Brothers of Two Complex. We appreciate y'all for clicking on this video, but before we get into the content, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of these bangers that we drop every single week. We appreciate the support. God bless. Our favorite topic to talk about on Two Complex, LeBron James. So there has been a report.
I wouldn't say it's our favorite topic. We just find a way.
We find a way to put him in it. Yeah. You know, but you're right. It's not necessarily our favorite topic. But apparently, during the 2024 trade deadline during the offseason. Wait, was it during the offseason or was it during the trade deadline during the season? Mid-season trade deadline.
Mid-season.
LeBron James was apparently supposed to be traded to the Golden State Warriors. That would have been a trade to behold, somewhat like what it would have been if Chris Paul would have went to the Lakers back in the day with God rest his soul, Kobe, the Black Mamba. But D-Lo, what do you think would have came of the Golden State Warriors and LeBron and Steph Curry's legacy if that trade would have went through, bro?
So you already know. First off, one, it would have negatively impacted LeBron James' legacy because the narrative would have been, oh, Bron he always got to be with somebody else to lift him up, to make him look like he's good, to win games and whatnot. It probably would have negatively impacted Steph's legacy as well because outside of the first one that he had before KD got there.
And the fourth one.
And the fourth one, right? He really, it sounds bad when you say that because he won two championships without the other bona fide like mega star,
super duper star, yeah,
right. Yeah. But they did ask KD to come help save them from losing to LeBron multiple times. But so they both would be negatively impacted, but we know Bron would have been more negatively impacted than Steph would, because Bron would be going from the Lakers to Golden State. Steph's never left Golden State. He's always been at Golden State for whatever reason. We want our superstars to remain in the same place at all times, even if it's not of their own doing. We want them to be there for whatever reason. But yeah, so I definitely think it would have negatively impacted Bron. But had they have gone together at this stage in their career, we saw what they did in the Olympics and how dynamic that duo, along with KD, was in the Olympics. Based off of we don't know what the trade would have been, but it would all depend on who else was involved in that trade and what pieces were left in Golden State for them to be a team. Because the salary cap next year, I don't know I didn't research what it is currently, but I know the salary cap for next year is $148.5 million. Bron's contract right now, his cap hit is $48 million. Steph's contract is $56 million.
Something like that, yep.
So right there, that's $105 million cap hit.
Crazy.
You only got $43 million to work with.
Yeah.
Who are you going to have on the team? They're going to be worse than...
Draymond gonna have to take a crazy pay cut to stay on that team if he wanted to stay on.
Exactly. So to answer that question, I'm not really sure how they would fare, especially being in the Western Conference. It's not easy. You got to deal with Jokic. So that's one thing. You would need two big men actually to deal with Jokic. I'm assuming AD would stay in LA, so you would need somebody to deal with AD also. The Timberwolves look good this year.
They do.
Then the Suns, it would be tough for them.
Mavericks,
but
they look good.
Right. So, I mean, it would be interesting because it's Bron and Steph. I'm sure they would find a way to win some games, but I don't know. I really can't answer what I would think. I mean, you would hope they could get a championship because of the two of them, but I don't know. But we definitely know that the legacies would be impacted negatively for Bron. What you think?
For sure. I think the same thing as you. I think they would have. I mean, just because of what happened with KD and how he left. You know, he was up 3-1. Golden State came back. Then the next season, he all of a sudden on Golden State, and that his legacy is negatively impacted by that. You know what I'm saying? And I think LeBron's would probably be. I don't think it would be honest. I don't think it would be worse than what KD's was, but it would definitely be negatively impacted.
I don't know. because this would have been his fourth team that he went to.
Well, yeah, in that instance, then yeah, he would have, just him moving around as much as he did, that would negatively impact it. But him leaving to go to play with Steph wouldn't negatively impact LeBron's legacy as much as it impacted KD's for leaving to go play with Steph. If that makes sense, if you see where I'm going with that.
Well, yeah, because he was traded in KD. Well, I mean,
because he was traded in KD. KD was traded, but no, he was signed. He wasn't traded, was he?
Yeah, he signed to them. He went in free agency.
But he left after losing in the playoffs, and he went and joined. You can't beat him, join them type of thing. LeBron, if it is true that he actually requested the trade, which is what the report is, but I don't think he actually requested one. But I can't say that because I don't know what his MO is. But if it is true that he actually requested a trade to go play with Steph, it seemed like I think it definitely would have negatively impacted LeBron more, but I think it would have positively impacted Steph's legacy because it would have been like, damn, all these damn superstars want to come play with Steph. Is he really the GOAT for real? Like, I think that would have been a conversation that to be had. Like,
so it would have positively impacted Steph's legacy.
I think it would have positively impacted Steph's legacy. I think so because Steph has been in the same place all the time, and then KD, who was one of the greatest players of all time, ain't no denying that, leaves and goes and plays with Steph.
Right.
Hasn't won anything since Steph, and Steph has already won a championship afterwards. LeBron won one in 2020, won one in the bubble, but hasn't won anything since. Then gonna go team up with Steph to try to win a champ. I think that more so positively impacts Steph's legacy more than negatively. To be perfectly honest with you, I think that would be a conversation that people would have. Like, why did everybody want to go play with Steph? Like, Steph must really be the GOAT for real.
Yeah, it would, in my opinion, it would solidify how most people feel about him in comparison to LeBron in this era of basketball, where they could say potentially put him above LeBron for best of this era because he has just as many championships as Bron. He hasn't left Golden State. He showed that he could win without another star, so on and so forth. Whereas Bron, while he did win in 2016, was that?
2018, but he also had Kyrie, who was considered. People go back and forth with Kyrie if he's a star or a superstar. I think he's a superstar, me personally, but he also had Kyrie, who is also another superstar. So he hasn't won a championship without a quote unquote superstar on his team.
Yeah, well, okay, that's true, but Kyrie wasn't before that. He wasn't a proven star, which is why Cleveland was basically a lottery team after LeBron left, and right before he got there, they weren't a lottery team. Were they a lottery team? They were still a lottery team. They just weren't the number one.
Yeah, they still
pick.
were. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he wasn't a proven star, and with the guidance of Bron,
quote unquote, yeah,
right, he was able to elevate his game, and then. Yeah, he was able to elevate. I was going to say he won it after Kyrie left, but he didn't. They just went to the finals and lost. But yeah, so I mean, to me, that would solidify people being able to say, yeah, this is why Steph is better than Bron because in this era because of X, Y, Z. Matter of opinion, tomato, if you feel that way, whatever. But I mean, what was I about to say to you? Daggone. I just had it in my I just
all good.
It was about Steph. It'll come to me in a minute.
Yeah.
It'll come to me in a minute. Go ahead.
But I mean if they would have teamed up together with at both of their big ages, you know what I'm saying? LeBron about to be 40 on Christmas Eve, or I think the day after Christmas, before one of the two, around Christmas, he about to be 40 years old. And then I think Steph is about to touch 37 in March, something like that.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. So
you in the ballpark.
At their big ages, yeah, in their big ages, do you think they win a championship? Or do you not? You talked about the salary cap. So do you think that they would have had enough to put around Steph and LeBron to be able to win a championship?
And that's the question. Do they have enough with the salary cap that those two take up to put enough around Steph and Bron to be competitive? Those two will win you games, but they're not going to win you in their ages as they currently are. They're not going to win you the champions. They're not going to win you a championship or get you to the playoffs. You need a team that can play defense, because they're not playing defense on a night in, night out basis. You also need a big man to defend the rim, and also, like I said, deal with Jokic, who has proven, has proven that he can. I won't say will, but he's skilled enough to make everybody else around him better with all of the things that he can do with the basketball: score, pass, dribble a little bit, so on and so forth. So I don't know with just those two if they win a championship. They're going to need a slightly above average, in my opinion, 2 to 4 3-and-D players, and then at least 2 big men. And those individuals aren't going to be cheap if you're getting slightly above average, because as we've seen, average players in the league are making $80 million 4-year contracts, 4-year $80 million contract. So, and that's a $20 million hit on the cap. So right there, it's already half of what you need. So I mean, I don't know.
I mean, if it's one thing that I do know, with the NBA signing these new contracts coming up with these TV stations, that's going to bring some bread to the league. That would have brought some bread to the league, especially with these new contracts with these streaming services, your Prime TVs, Netflix getting into the mix. You know what I'm saying? Amazon. Well, I said Amazon, but you got all Peacock getting into the mix. Like, you got all of these streaming services that's bidding to get into the NBA as far as being able to show the NBA on their networks. Like, that would have brought Steph and LeBron together, bro. People is watching, bro. People are going to watch.
Definitely going
and that's just going to bring so much money to the market, bro. It's going to be so much money to the market, bro. That would be. No, I can't even say that. That's what Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark need to do. Team up. That's going to bring so much.
Yeah.
That's going to bring so much viewership to their league if they was to go ahead and just team up. Like, if LeBron and Steph team up, that's what you and Caitlin Clark need to do, Angel Reese. Team up.
Caitlin Clark has figured it out. And nobody's talking about that.
Nobody's talking about it. We can talk about it. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it this weekend if you want to talk about it, brother man.
She's figured it out. I don't know. Like, something's clicked. I mean, she might not be shooting well, but the points are there, the assists are there. So, but we getting off topic. But you said Clayton Clark and Angel Reese, and it just like, well, it's definitely would be must watch TV with those two, because you're gonna have people like us that appreciate both of their games, wanting to see them win, and then you're gonna have people on the other side of the fence wanting to see them lose and saying, "I told you so. I told you why he's not the GOAT. I told you why he's not the best shooter," so on and so forth. Yep. But it really depends to me that while that will be must watch TV, if it was to happen, or if it were to happen, if they don't have a good bench around them or a good group of individuals, it's just going to be tragic, in my opinion, because I don't think they're going to be that good. I think they may even be worse than the Lakers team was, 3 years ago?
Whenever AD and LeBron was hurt, I think that was 2021.
Yeah. So that's just my opinion on that.
I mean, but why do you think Rich Paul put the kibosh on that joint, bro? Like, why did you think he nixed the whole situation? Like, he's the one that said, "Nah, I don't want y'all reaching out to LeBron James."
Well, he said why. He said he thought about how negative it would have been, the perception LeBron would have been in the basketball community. And I agree with that. Because, I mean, like I said, Bron, that would have been his 4th team that he went to. It would have been his 3rd team.
3rd team, technically, but he would have moved 4 times. I feel what you're saying.
But again, it's already the narrative of Bron having multiple coaches in his coaching career, which was never heard of until now, and about putting how great somebody is, how many coaches they have or haven't had. And then he can't make the big shot. Okay.
He's the most clutch player in NBA history. We're not going to talk about that, huh? Okay.
But that's the next thing. Then he's La Flop, you know what I mean? And then so you add him
Late
moving,
crybaby.
Everything, right? So everything he does is under a microscope. Heavy as the head that wears a crown.
For sure.
But then you add the fact that he would have left Cleveland to go to Miami with D Wade, going back to Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love, left Cleveland to go to LA, and brought KD in and messed up a young nucleus of players who've all gone and been fairly decent in there. Well, you had some that's gone on to be really good and some that's gone to be fairly decent in their respective teams. And then now, if that was to happen for him to leave LA to go to Golden State with Steph, yeah, I agree with Rich Paul. This should have been Nixon. You asking all the questions I was going to ask, so we always on the same wavelength.
We always on the same page, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. Rich Paul shutting that down. But remember when I said that how terrible Golden State was, how they went from being such a dynasty with the GM that left. I forgot his name, just like that.
I forget his name too, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but he's on ESPN now calling games with that GM, and then Dunleavy came in and they kind of sucked. He made some bad decisions, but it was going to take some major like blockbuster trade to get people to forget how bad of decisions he's made since he's been there. That's what he tried to do. Bob Myers. Yeah. Bob Myers was the guy. So they built that dynasty with Bob Myers, won those championships with him. He was able to bring in KD, make all that work. And then as soon as he left a year later, they looked like trash, trading away. Can't handle Jordan Poole and Draymond's issues. Everything gets broken up, so to speak. And they look like the team that they look like. And then so in order to make up for that, you got to make drastic moves, and that's what Mike Dunleavy tried to do, but because of the entity that is Rich Paul's everywhere in the NBA.
He is, bro,
and controls a lot. No one man should have all that power. He nixed it. So,
and I get it too, man. I mean, that definitely would have, from a PR perspective, that would have been bad for LeBron James, because like you said, man, everything that he does is under a microscope. There's nothing that he does that is not scrutinized to some degree. Like anything that he says, any way that he acts, anything, the way he, even off the court, the way that everything is just under such a microscope that LeBron can't do nothing without somebody saying, yeah, he ain't the GOAT. And it's just, it's one of those things where we can surmise whatever we want to surmise for as long as we want to about what would have came of this trade and them teaming up. But truth of the matter is, bro,
it ain't never going to happen.
It ain't number one. It ain't never going to happen other than in the Olympics, which ain't probably never going to happen again, because by the time that happens, LeBron going to be 44 and Steph going to be 41. So that probably ain't happening, to be perfectly honest with you, again. But
or LeBron's going to be,
or an All-Star game, because they don't do drafts no more. They stopped drafting, so that might. Oh, well,
they're both in the West.
They're both on the West. Yeah. They're both on the West. Yeah, my bad. But it's one of those things where you can. It's definitely one of those dream scenarios to be like, for both of them at the end of their prime, going towards the end of their careers, for them to team up and go crazy. That is like a dream scenario for like the average fan to be like, yeah, that should definitely happen. And me personally, I wouldn't call myself an average fan, because we got the podcast now, so I look a little bit deeper into basketball more than I used to.
Yeah.
But for somebody like myself, I would love to see them team up. That would be something I would like to see for sure. I would love to see that.
And so my thought process with that would be like, we know the general, me and you, we would like to see that. But we know a majority of the public would not like to see that. One of the friends of the show, G, what up, G, sent me a post yesterday with Anthony Edwards and KD and how their bond grew during the Olympics.
Over the Olympics, yep.
And he said, I would love to see them play together. And I was like, nah, I wouldn't. And then the reason I said I wouldn't is because, well, if people want to see them play together, why do we hold other individuals to a different standard than we do LeBron? And he was like, that's the casual fan that knows nothing about basketball and understands that later in their career, like they really don't have much to prove, and them winning a championship together would be good to see. And I was like, that makes perfect sense, but we know we don't deal with average people out here when it comes to basketball sense. So, I mean, I definitely would love to see it, but we know because of the perceptions that's being pushed, the narratives that are spun and thrown out there about our stars, about Bron negatively in this respective. And I think Steph will come out on the better end than Bron if it was
100%.
ever to happen, but it still would be spun negatively for him as well. But we know if they were to come, the type of stories that would come out about why they can't be considered great as they are any longer is XYZ.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would have loved to see it happen, man. But like you said, the casual basketball fan, they not with it, bro. They're not with it.
Ruining basketball. That's what they did.
That's what they would. But see, that's what they say LeBron did. Yeah, that's what they say LeBron already did, though. You know what I'm saying? And they just gonna continue to pile it on to make it seem like it's LeBron's fault that now all of a sudden people want to move around and not stay with the same team, and now they got to team up with other superstars to win championship. Whenever people were doing it before LeBron, so like it's just like you said, man. People hate to love. Oh no, people love to hate LeBron.
Well, yeah,
people love to hate. Not hate to love to hate.
Love to hate for sure. And then I mean, it's like we forget. I say this all the time, and I'll die on this hill. We forget that this is their job. Yes, it's a kid's game. It's a kid's game. We understand that. They're making a lot of money to play a kid's game, but at the end of the day, it's still their job. Some of the individuals out there that are playing it love it. Some of the individuals act like they love it, but they don't really love it. They're just doing it because it's a nice paycheck. But it's their job. And if you didn't like the job that you were at or the city that you were in, and you had the way to go to somewhere else to make the same amount of money, if not more, you're going to do it. And that's what these people are doing. You're going to go to the company that provides you the most upward trajectory to be the best that you can, to make the most money you can with the least amount of stress that you can have. That's what these players are doing. And, in the old days, just like in the work environment, in the old days, you worked your 40 years or 30 years, you collect your pension, you go on about your business. That ain't how it works anymore. We don't have pensions. You know what I mean? So comparing that to the NBA, it's not like that anymore. Players move around freely as they want to because it's a players' league now. It's not run by the owners like the NFL is or like it was back in the day. These players run the league, so they gonna do whatever they can get away with.
They right for doing it. They right for doing it. I mean, I don't have no issue with none of these players. Nobody gave. Well, I guess nobody gave Dame Lillard any hate for moving and going to Milwaukee because he was being. He was the only. He was so loyal to Portland. He vowed to stay with Portland for so long that they was like he need to go. So they was happy when he left. But Dame Lillard,
and that didn't work out how they thought it would be.
Not at all. But he definitely went and teamed up with a superstar in the league, a former MVP, a former, championship winner. So like nobody gave him slack for it. Exactly. So it's like what you want now you got nobody's talking about this either because nobody's giving Paul George any slack, but he's teamed up with some superstars over his past couple of teams that he's been with. So like nobody's talking about it unless it's LeBron. And it's crazy, bro. It's so crazy. Yeah. People are doing it. Everybody's doing it. There's plenty. James Harden has done it. You know what I'm saying? Kawhi Leonard's done it. You know what I'm saying? Like people are doing this, bro. Like, but only LeBron the one to get the slack for it.
Yeah. Well, and this is why I think it is. And we can wrap it up after this if you want to. I think it's because Bron has put himself. I wouldn't say he put himself, but he's definitely kept that narrative going of him being the GOAT. And
yeah, for sure.
People don't like that. Like I said, we like our athletes to be arrogant, but not arrogant to an extent where you get tired of hearing him say certain things. And that's what it is. He's put himself, he continues to keep himself in that conversation with some of the things that he says or implies in interviews. And it just rubs people the wrong way. You don't want to see, you want to keep the nostalgia. Michael Jordan is the nostalgia. And I still remain 1A, 1B. You go, LeBron's the GOAT.
Come on, man.
It is what it is. But
everybody know where I stand.
But people don't, the 50% of the population, I don't really know the statistics, but I'm just assuming it's 50%, wants to keep Michael Jordan on that pedestal because of what he did for the NBA and how he brought the NBA to where it is now. And then you have players that have taken the torch that he delivered to them and continue to run with it and elevate it even more. but we know that Michael Jordan was the NBA in the 90s. And so that's all it is.